Hey there, Ruth Haven Grounds family. Have you ever looked at a patch of your garden and thought, this soil is absolutely lifeless? You know what I'm talking about. That gray, compacted, dusty earth that looks like it hasn't seen a living microbe in decades. Maybe it's that corner where nothing grows. Or perhaps you're dealing with exhausted soil that's been farmed or gardened into submission. Well, I've got something incredible to share with you today, and it comes straight from our great-great-grandparents' playbook. I'm talking about a soil restoration method from the 1800s that farmers swore by, and honestly, it works so well that I'm almost angry modern gardening forgot about it. This isn't some complicated chemical fix or expensive store-bought solution. This is pure, old-school gardening wisdom that transforms dead soil into a thriving ecosystem faster than you'd believe possible. Let me walk you through exactly how this works and why your garden desperately needs you to try it. Before we dive into the method itself, let's talk about why 19th century farmers knew something we've forgotten. Back then, they didn't have access to synthetic fertilizers or soil amendments shipped from across the country. They couldn't just run to the garden center when their soil failed them. Instead, they developed deeply intuitive methods based on observation, experimentation, and necessity. The secret they discovered: soil isn't just dirt. It's a living system that needs to be fed, not just fertilized. There's a massive difference between those two concepts, and understanding this distinction is what separates struggling gardens from thriving ones. Dead soil lacks microbial life, organic matter, and the complex web of fungi, bacteria, and microorganisms that make nutrients available to plants. The 1800s method addresses all of this simultaneously, and that's why it works so dramatically. Here's the technique that changed everything for homesteaders and farmers in the 1800s. And honestly, it's going to revolutionize your dead soil too. They called it various names: sheet composting, lasagna gardening, or trench composting. But the principle remains the same. You're essentially building a decomposition engine right where you want to grow. Start by loosening your dead soil as much as possible without completely turning it over. You're just breaking up that compaction enough to allow water and air to penetrate. And don't worry about making it perfect. Even terrible soil can be saved. Next, here's where the magic begins. You're going to create layers directly on top of and slightly into this dead soil. Your first layer should be nitrogen-rich green materials. Think kitchen scraps, no meat or dairy, fresh grass clippings, coffee grounds, or even weeds you've pulled from other parts of your garden. Spread this about 2 to 3 inches thick. The 1800s farmers would use whatever they had: vegetable scraps from meal prep, livestock bedding mixed with manure, or fresh plant material from clearing land. You're working with the same principle: getting fresh, nitrogen-rich organic matter into contact with that dead soil. Now comes the layer that most modern gardeners skip, and it's absolutely critical. You need a thick carbon layer. We're talking 4 to 6 inches of brown materials. This is where 1800s farmers really showed their genius. They used straw, dried leaves, wood chips, shredded paper, cardboard, or even old hay. This carbon layer does multiple things simultaneously that wake up your soil. So first off, this carbon layer provides food for soil fungi, which are honestly absolutely essential for healthy soil structure. Those fungal networks, they break down organic matter and transport nutrients to plant roots in exchange for sugars the plants produce. Dead soil typically has little to no fungal activity, and this carbon layer, well, it really jumpstarts that entire ecosystem. Second, the carbon layer acts as a moisture regulator, holding water like a sponge, while preventing the soil from drying out completely. And third, as it breaks down, it creates air pockets and pathways that allow oxygen into previously compacted soil. The farmers of the 1800s understood something we've kind of forgotten in our rush toward quick fixes. Soil needs to breathe and decompose simultaneously. They weren't trying to force the soil to change overnight with chemicals. Instead, they were creating conditions where the soil could heal itself naturally, and that healing happens remarkably fast when you set up the right environment. All right, so here's where you seal the deal and really accelerate the process. After your carbon layer, just add a thin layer, maybe half an inch to an inch, of actual compost or aged manure if you have it. And hey, if you don't have compost yet, quality topsoil or even soil from a healthy part of your garden works perfectly. This acts as an inoculant, introducing beneficial microorganisms that will colonize your entire layered system. Back in the 1800s, farmers often used what they called sweet soil from the forest floor or, from their most productive fields. They kind of instinctively knew they were transplanting microbial communities, even if they couldn't see them or really understand the science behind it. And honestly, you're doing the same thing, bringing life to dead soil by introducing organisms that will multiply rapidly in the perfect environment you've just created. All right, so now you want to water everything thoroughly, but not to the point of sogginess. Think of it like as moist as a wrung-out sponge. Then, and this is important, cover the entire area with another layer of straw, leaves, or even cardboard. This final mulch layer keeps everything moist, blocks light that would encourage weed seeds to germinate, and, it continues feeding the system as it breaks down. Within weeks, you'll see transformation happening in soil that was previously dead. So here's the science behind why this old school 1800s method works so well. By layering materials with different carbon to nitrogen ratios, you've created perfect conditions for thermophilic or heat-loving bacteria to just explode in population. These bacteria generate heat as they decompose organic matter. And that heat can actually be felt if you dig down into your layers. This warmth, really accelerates decomposition dramatically. Materials that would take months to break down in a traditional compost pile start decomposing in just weeks when they're layered directly in your beds. The heat also helps kill weed seeds and pathogens in that dead soil, so it basically sterilizes things naturally, while, at the same time, introducing beneficial organisms. As decomposition happens, you're actually creating humus, that dark, crumbly, sweet-smelling stuff that really defines healthy soil. Humus acts like a sponge for nutrients and water, and it's exactly what dead soil is missing. Back in the 1800s, farmers didn't know the chemistry, but they sure knew that dark, rich soil grew the best crops, and this method just made it happen reliably. Here's what's really amazing. You can plant into this system almost right away if you're using transplants. For the first season, you're basically planting into the top layers, while the soil underneath keeps transforming. By the second season, what started as dead soil will have become rich, alive, and, honestly, deeply productive. Back in the 1800s, a lot of farmers would prepare their garden beds in the fall using this very method. They'd let everything decompose over the winter, and by the time spring rolled around, they had some incredibly fertile soil ready for planting. You can totally do the same thing, or honestly, you can start this process pretty much any time and begin planting within just a few weeks. If you're planning on direct seeding, though, you might want to wait about a month or so, just until the layers have settled and started breaking down a bit. The transformation you'll witness is genuinely remarkable. Earthworms will appear seemingly from nowhere. They'll migrate into your beds because you've created paradise for them. The soil will change color from gray or pale brown to dark, rich chocolate. It will smell earthy and alive instead of stale or chemically. And most importantly, your plants will explode with growth in a way that feels almost miraculous if you've been struggling with dead soil. The beauty of this 1800s technique is its flexibility. You can adapt it to whatever materials you have available. Don't have straw? Use shredded leaves, wood chips, or even newspaper. Don't have kitchen scraps? Use grass clippings or fresh weeds. The principle remains the same. Alternate nitrogen and carbon layers, add microbial life, keep it moist, and let nature do the work. Start with your worst soil first. Pick that problem area and give this method a try. I promise you'll be amazed by the results, and once you see it work, you'll want to apply this technique throughout your entire garden. This is exactly the kind of time-tested, proven method we love sharing here at Ruthhaven Grounds. Practical, accessible, and powerfully effective. Your dead soil isn't a lost cause. It's just waiting for you to wake it up using wisdom that stood the test of time for over 2 centuries. Try this method, document your results, and don't forget to subscribe to Ruthhaven Grounds for more gardening techniques that actually work. Share this with fellow gardeners who are struggling with poor soil. Let's bring this incredible 1800s knowledge back where it belongs, in every garden. Happy growing, friends.